just got to the store today and I brought a book down that I finished. Yes, I finished 2 books. 2 books. That's what happens when you stay off social media. You can actually finish a book in a week. The Greatest Battle. Stalin, Hitler, and the desperate struggle for Moscow that changed the course of World War II. This book's from 2014 by Andrew Nagorski. He's of Polish descent, so you know his family history plays a big role in this. So I'm going to talk about this as I walk around and turn all the lights on and get open today. Not much has been written about the battle for Moscow. You hear about the siege of Stalingrad, battle for Leningrad, but Moscow, when Hitler invaded Russia on June 22nd, 1941, a few months before Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and drug the Americans into the war. When Hitler attacked Russia, they just rolled over him. You've heard of the famous Blitzkrieg. Not helped by the fact that Stalin had purged so many of his military generals and upper echelon in the 1930s. See, in 1939, Hitler and Stalin had made the non-aggression pact where when Hitler invaded Poland, they would divide up Poland. Don't need to have the bathroom door open. So that's in September 1st, 1939. World War II begins. Hitler and Germany invade Poland. The Soviet Union, Russia, invaded from the east. And then for the next 2 years, while Hitler's fighting in France and bombing England, Stalin and Hitler are just good buddies, Stalin's like, oh, I don't want to provoke Hitler. I don't want to provoke Hitler. And of course, the book lays it all out in much clearer and scholarly terms. Yet it's still written, I would say, for the layperson in a very readable manner and uses a lot of individuals, stories, tons of research, I'm sure, went into this book. Could you be a little louder, truck? Okay, so Hitler's rolling toward Russia. The tanks just rolling over the Russian soldiers. There's no stopping him. And finally, kind of in October, they start to slow. See, from June to October, they just had everything their way. But in October, the Soviet Union really buckles down. And, we like to think, obviously Hitler's terrible. We like to think Stalin was this good guy. Man, he's terrible too. He was as evil as Hitler. If their own soldiers didn't fight, they shot him to keep him from retreating. But Moscow is generally becoming to be thought of as, if the Germans had been able to take Moscow, that would have totally wrecked. It was the communication hub, the nerve center of the Soviet Union. They had already evacuated a lot of their production facilities 600 miles to the east, set up a temporary capital, or what was to be if Moscow had fallen. But Stalin didn't leave. He never left Moscow. And even though there was kind of a complete breakdown of order for a couple of days, they held on. They stopped the German advance. The Germans got to within, I think at the closest point, about 25 miles of Moscow. And then, of course, Hitler made the terrible error of not sending cold weather clothing, coats and all that stuff, with his soldiers. And, temperatures, I think it was an extra severe winter. Temperatures were 20, 30 degrees below zero. And that's the air temperature, not the wind chill. The oil and the machinery is freezing up. And of course, the Soviets, for the most part, were better equipped to handle that. Just a great book. I'm so not doing it justice with this haphazard review. I would highly recommend it. for any, especially any fan of World War II. Let's say a buff of World War II. We don't want to be labeled as fans of war. What else? What else did I... Let's see, did I get everything open? The open sign turned on. I guess all that's left to do is unlock the front door. So just like the last book I reviewed and brought down, 1066, about the Norman Conquest, it's over there on the shelf. I'll price this and put this on the shelf, and who knows, maybe it'll sell. Sometimes a book sells 30 minutes after I put it on the shelf. Sometimes it's 30 years, but well, almost. I guess I have been open 30 years. All right, have a good one. Keep reading.